Sure. Um, yeah, awesome. Okay, so for those who I have not met, my name is Aaron Spencer. I'm with the city's planning department. Thank you so much for your time and your commitment to being here as volunteers for this committee. I guess according to our agenda, the first thing is call to order. Should we go ahead and
We don't have a chair yet, so we'll
Okay.
just call it to order at 6:14.
Okay. And then roll call, I guess if you all could go and say your name and you're present for
Mary Victoria, and what else?
that you're present. Okay.
That'd be weird if you weren't.
Tina D2 present.
Jason Day, present.
Liz Mathis present.
Cindy Rose present.
We do have Mr. Hines, part of it, he'll be probably about 45 minutes late, so that's the only one I know of.
Okay.
So you'll need to vote to, or well, no, because he's just gonna do it. So I don't know if you want to vote to excuse Leona, because the person that's not here and I haven't heard from him. Anybody want to make a motion to excuse?
I didn't hear what you said.
Does anybody want to make the motion to excuse Leona's absence? She's the only one that's not here. Sure. So you can say, I'd like to make a early discussion.
Someone walking in right now. That might be her.
I think that might be her. Are you Leona? Are you Leona?
Yes.
Hey.
Come have a seat wherever you like. Alright, well then never mind.
Yeah, I'm not gonna know where I was.
No, you're just fine. There was a, I think there was some.
So we'll just, we're just gonna have a quick moment of silence. And then we'll go ahead and do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna skip the oath of office and push it to the next meeting. Just a quick reminder for everyone, if you have not already done your Open Meetings Act and your Public Information Act and turned in utility bill showing your residency, please do so before the next meeting or you won't be able to participate in the next meeting, okay? Thank you. We don't have any citizens to be heard, so we can skip that and
All right. Yes, I previously introduced myself. Leona, my name is Aaron Spencer. I'm with the city of Cibolo with the planning department. I've been with the city of Cibolo for a little over 2 years now. Started in June of 2023. I was involved with the city's comprehensive plan. So that's a plan for the city as a whole, looking at where the city should be at and having a group of stakeholders such as yourself and seeing what that vision should be. And so a lot of what we will be talking about today is giving you an update on where things are as they stand in terms of this project being kicked off earlier this year, the feedback that we've gotten thus far, and as a committee, how you all can help shape this plan. And so here we have Abby, who's with Lionheart. So the city did do an RFP process. So that's a request for proposals. Having consultants to submit a bid for that proposal, and Abby and her firm were awarded that contract. And so that's who the city has as a consultant for this project. And so she and her team will be leading this project. Staff, myself, and Val, we will just help facilitate and support where we can. But of course, if you have any questions anytime, feel free to reach out. And yeah, with that, I will let Abby take over. And I believe she has a presentation to go over with everything that's going on with this project.
Great, thanks Aaron.
All right, good to meet everybody. So, yeah, I've got a few slides here, but this is our first meeting together, and so one of the things you'll see here. The first thing here is like really introduction and team role. So Aaron covered a little bit in terms of who I am, how the city's role, my role, and then y'all's roles. And I handed out this little sort of one pager that talks a little bit about that. But I think one of the first things that I would love to do is just hear from each of you in terms of, why, we'll go over that, but really, why did you sign up for this committee? What are your biggest hopes for the outcomes of this plan? And what are some of your biggest fears? And that could be for outcomes or the process along the way. So yeah, that's really what I just love to hear from you all. And don't feel like don't feel put on the spot or anything like that. And if you think of something later on, we'll go around the room, but if you think of something, please feel free to speak up. Just really would love to just have some conversation. I think it's really helpful. So whoever wants to start. All right.
Why I wanted to be a part of the committee, just to give back, serve my community. I do a lot of volunteer work for the city of San Antonio because I run a nonprofit bicycling. I lead a bicycling group, Black Girls Do Bike, San Antonio. So I'm always downtown city of San Antonio at their council meetings, advocating for safe bikes, walkways for pedestrians, right away, and things of that nature. So when I saw that the committee needed more volunteers, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in there, So that's my spiel about why I want to be the part of the committee. What is your biggest hope for the outcome? To have a more accessible city for everyone. Everyone can be able to move, groove, family, tourists, kids, things of that nature. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., so I'm used to a lot of walking and a lot of bike riding and catching the subway, just getting around and exploring and being in big open spaces and just enjoying myself. So I want that for Cibolo. I want that for all of Texas, but I do want that for Cibolo. So what is my biggest fear for the outcome of this plan? I would say not meeting the metrics that, So I just want to make sure that we meet all our goals and we're able to, be able to look back and say, okay, we did A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we met everything, and, everybody will be able to enjoy the city.
Yeah, that's great. So just to clarify, so you're saying that your biggest fear would be we get through the process, we have outcomes, but then don't actually get to implement.
Yes.
Understood. Yeah, thank you. And I'm sorry, one more announcement. My colleague, I just want everybody to know I'm not taking a lot of notes over here, so I can be engaged, but I've got a colleague that's online and is listening and is taking lots of notes, so just so you know.
I'm Liz Mathis. I joined the committee, been a resident here since 2003. Had a little bit of a hiatus for 3 years, moved to New Braunfels, but now I am back in town. I live down here, I work down here, and I own businesses down here. So it serves me justice and hopefully civil justice that I'm part of this committee. That's why I joined it. Biggest hope for the outcome. For myself personally, just so you guys know where I sit, focusing on 3 things right now. I love, we do all this and then nothing comes to fruition. I've been part of that before, in the past, where we had a bunch of stuff. It was all outlaid for us, and then nothing happened. So, but now I feel that the city is a little bit more grounded, and we actually have the opportunity to do so. But I really want to focus on beautification of downtown, getting local artists involved, having like a lot more camaraderie with artwork and social projects for families and kids and for downtown. My second thing is parking. I know on the grid it said no one complained about parking, but I hear it on a daily. And then the third thing is drainage. So since I live here, I've noticed every time we get huge rainstorms, I don't know if I want to do drainage or not, because I actually get a pond in my backyard, which I might be able to go fishing in it if we got a lot of rain. But so I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's drainages, I mean, on the sides of the roads, it's flooded. We have we just have some drainage issues going on here, so those are my three biggest hopes for the outcome. But like I said, the fear, I agree with you on that one. It's just, we're doing all of this, I understand, but now we actually have committees. We didn't have that before. It was like, kind of like we did this overlay, we hired people for the city, and then nothing came to fruition. It's very disappointing as a resident, and it's very disappointing as a business owner. So I really hope that we can get just some things nailed down here. We've got a lot of accomplished, honestly. Like I can't say we haven't got a lot accomplished, but we have got a lot accomplished. But I can see I would not invest in this city if I didn't believe in it. So I fully believe that we have the ability to grow, do better things, make our community more, like you said, accessible. I think that's so cool that you do the bike riding things, because we have a lot of bike riders around here. I think it's super cool. So I'm all for that.
Well, I'm Leona. I chose to serve on this committee, one, because I've always wanted to live in a small town, even though I am from Chicago, really big city. But I've always loved the idea of a small town and wanted to see how it works and how they grow and how to be a part of that. So I joined the committee. My biggest hope would be also the accessibility thing. Where I used to live in Chicago, I was able to walk everywhere. And so like I really didn't even need my driver's license until I left Chicago. So I felt like I really want to try to implement that here. My biggest fear, I would say I really don't know enough to have a biggest fear. So I'm excited.
That's fair.
Jason Day. Wanted to serve on the committee because I've been living here 3 years now, and I enjoy living here, and just wanted to get involved and contribute to what's going on here. I think Cibolo has a lot of potential and is already thriving, and I want to see it continue to thrive. I think the whole town area has a lot of small town charm, and just want to see that continue to be enhanced and for the full potential to be maximized. So my biggest hope is, for it to continue to thrive and for that small town charm to be maintained, but also, be there to serve the residents and for the residents to enjoy it, also draw in some of our neighbors, even to become a destination for people outside of Cibolo. So, biggest fear would be similar, just to go through the motions and be faced with budget issues or scope reductions, or just not being able to overcome some of the challenges that it's just with it being a compact area with a lot going on, maintaining free parking, but enough to support the amenities that are not only here but that we want to bring in, the railroad, the entire site. and just some of those challenges remaining and just not allowing it to be what it could be. And at the same time, still having, we still have the potential to speak that into existence. But yeah, I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the process.
Well, for those of you who don't know, I've had 3 prior terms on the council. So a lot of these problems have been identified. Heck yes, that's exactly what the problem is. We run into, well, I don't want to serve in a committee. I have been serving in the committee. We got here in '87, built a house, about the only one on the whole block. I remember looking out in the backyard and watching the cows wander around back there. Now I got wall-to-wall people back there, which is fine, nevertheless. So it has changed considerably. I think when I got here, it was about 3,000 people. And I don't have to tell you where we're at right now. You probably know, don't you? But I want to help. I want to help the community. I grew up in an area that wasn't incorporated. It's still not incorporated, but I don't ever plan on going back. So this is my home now. As far as hope for the outcome, to get something done. One of the problems we've run into, you run into a variety of things. When Walmart was being built, there was almost banners running up and down the street against Walmart. When HEB got built over here, almost the same thing. Yet that's where funding comes from, all of these projects. It's like that. It's like 1103 out here. We got started on that project over 10 years ago and finally got money enough to get it started. The statement, we got other bigger projects to do. So we need your support to talk to your local Congress or senator or whatever else. So we need some face-to-face time with those folks. Because when you're between San Antonio and Schertz on one side and Seguin on the other, that's pretty much the way it's handled. I can tell you a whole bunch of things, but I'm not. So the biggest fear, I don't want to get totally biased on the whole thing. I have my opinion, but nevertheless, biggest fear is not getting it accomplished. One of the things that we had done a number of years ago, San Antonio started to annex South Cibolo, right out here, all the way down to the interstate. We said, let's not do that, gang. Well, in the process of the whole thing, we said, we're going to annex this territory down here. Since we don't have enough money to put in pipes, streets, and everything else, let's wait 10 years. And we got the contract signed with everybody down south. And what happened? Nothing. So that's why we've got a hodgepodge down there. So we need continuity in working with these projects. That's what I'm really getting around to. Is don't wait to the last minute. Check on it every time you can. Because if it doesn't happen, it won't happen. And that's how we got to the question.
So I'm sorry, I should have told you guys when we first started. If you guys would use your mics.
Test. No, just kidding. So yeah, well, I'm very interested in the development of the city. Well, I'm from Germany originally, and we moved a lot around with the military. And so I'm from the big city as well, and I'm used to all the freedom of walking and biking and all that stuff, which is not so good here. Especially the walking, there's always shade missing, and Texas is really hot. So anything that keeps the trees alive or make buildings that has a little roof over it, would be nice or something. So my hope is to keep the integrity of the city, keep it green, keep the trees, because I can see now with all the development that's going on right now, all the trees being cut and all the shrubs and whatever. So that's not good for the environment neither. And I would hope there would be some renewable energy, like solar lights or something, use that instead of electricity, or put over the parking lots, you could put solar panels or something like that. That, and the biggest fear is that it would be overcrowded. If I mean, I can see from the plans when I read through it that well, that a lot of green, a lot of vacant lots are being built now. I mean, there's no more green spots around here. So, yeah, and yeah, lose the flavor of the small city. So.
We can check to see if it's working. My colleague was trying to. He said that couldn't hear anything on the YouTube. You know, or
I wonder if because the mics maybe is off.
Is that it?
You can see, you just can't hear.
Maybe it's. Was that? Oh, that was you. I was like, somebody's listening.
I'm Cindy Rose. I've lived in Cibolo since 1992 when we built a home here. So, and there were about 4,000 people here when we built in the what do you call it, ETJ, you know, and soon we're annexed. But anyway, I've always loved small towns. I'm from a small town in Illinois, but the other end of Illinois. Yeah. And when it came time for my husband to get out of the military, you know, and we were like, where are we going? And I said, hey, you know, I have my plum job at the Alamo Community College District. I'm not going anywhere. Do you want to go back to Illinois? So we both agreed we loved Cibolo, and so we stayed. But anyway, and I have another. So one of my reasons for wanting to be on this committee is because I love Cibolo, and I want to make sure that we have measured growth. You know, so. But the other reason is I serve on the historic committee. And we were talking about this committee, and Miss Peggy talked to us a little bit, and you know, and we were all like, yeah, one of us should go on the committee, and everybody kind of looked around.
And looked at
And finally, I said, okay, I'll do it. But no, so. But I'm looking forward to being able to take information back to them so that they can feed me more information, because several of them have been in Cibolo a long time too. So I'm looking forward to that. And my background is education, but reading and English, but you know, my interest is history. So I feel like this is a good mix for me. My biggest hope for the outcome for this is that we are able to make some accomplishments, like all of you have said. You know, sometimes you serve on committees and you go, oh, what did we really accomplish? But I have a neighbor who is a historian, and I keep telling her, I said, I'm going to come back to you and ask you lots of questions, because she's always interested in what's happening in Cibolo. So, but my biggest fear would be that we would get caught up in the minutia and we really wouldn't get anything accomplished. So I'm glad to hear all of you that we're really wanting to get something good to come out of all of this. So, thank you.
That's great. All right, thank you, everybody. I'm glad there's definitely one common theme, which is that you want to make sure that things get implemented after they're in the plan. Yes. Yes, yeah, which is great. That's, you know, I appreciate that, and I'll say, I think that is one of the strongest things that a committee can do, and I think you called it out just in terms of that. If having you all involved in this process, you know, you guys know the folks that are implementing these things and that will be responsible for implementing these down the line. My role here, I'll help you guys to create the plan, come up with recommendations. After the plan's done, you know, I leave and I go to the next place to try to do that. So you guys, and you'll be working with Aaron and you know, staff and council to get these things done. And if nobody knows what's in there, they never get done. So that for me is like the biggest tell when I come into a community to do a plan is if it's one where I just have very little engagement and not a lot of people part of putting the plan together, then, you know, first off, it's harder, our job's a lot harder because I don't really know what's going to resonate or what can get implemented because I don't know who the folks are that are going to be able to do it after we leave. And so first of all, it's a lot harder to get a plan that have things in them that can get implemented because maybe there aren't the resources, tools, and, you know, to get it done. And so that's a place that I think that you guys can really lend a lot of expertise into this plan and into the strategies and the outcomes. And then the other big thing is that when the city sends out, I know I worked for a city for about 10 years, City of San Marcos, before I moved over and started doing this instead. And I know that when you send something out as the city, people are like, oh, okay, you know, you all listen and you're here, but most people aren't super jazzed and excited, right? But when they hear it from you, from their friends, their neighbors, their coworkers, you know, the folks that sit on other committees with them, then they participate. And so for you guys being really ambassadors of this plan, getting the word out when there are events, helping to spread that, asking folks, you know, if you're not on social and don't do a lot of that stuff, but you know people that are, ask them to share it, you know, all of those things that will drive a lot of people here, a whole lot more people, drive a whole lot more people that are here. And it also starts to help people, you know, there's a level of intimidation too, right? You're just trying when you see something from the city as opposed to when you see it from your neighbors and residents. And so,
if I could, because you referenced me back here, I wanted to say this.
Thank you.
First of all, thank all of you for agreeing to serve on the committee. We don't have enough volunteers, so I really appreciate you taking time out of your private lives and volunteering for the city of Cibola. We too want a plan that is implemented. We don't want to get a document, put it on the shelf. There was a plan like that. Now you're the next step. We're hoping we'll get a realistic plan from you folks. So I would hope that the finance department will come meet with you folks and give you a realistic picture of where the city is financially and what the city can afford to actually implement, rather than you put a lot of goals and objectives in a document that there's just not the money to support. Because the number one message I hear is you want it to be implemented. And so when you go out to the newer neighborhoods in Cibolo and you see the playgrounds and the swimming pools, all the home buyers there are paying for that infrastructure. They pay for the water line and the sewer lines and the drainage system and the improvements. But when Old Town was built, none of those rules were there that required those things to be built and paid for. So the water lines are 2 inches instead of 8 inches like they have to be. So underground, there's a lot of problems before you get to the big picture ideas of pretty art and fountains and sidewalks and walking around and trees. Underground, there's a lot of problems. There's no drainage and there's no pipes. So you got to think as a committee about the infrastructure underneath, how that's going to get paid for before you have the improvements above ground. And so the way cities go back and retrofit all those areas, the city has to borrow money, bond issues, use your existing tax resources, and there's just not a lot. Cibolo is a fiscally conservative community, and the resources that come to make those improvements comes from you taxpayers. We understand. And we're not going to put together plans that require that you consider huge tax increases. We're going to do this incrementally when the resources are available, fiscally constrained, and we're going to work with your committee to come up with a plan, with a realistic plan that can be implemented. And so I don't want to be the one that, you know, comes and delivers the bad news, but I want to have a plan that works. I love DC, I love Chicago, would love to have a lot of those amenities that they have. They have huge amount of resources to deliver that level of service. We just don't have it. We are a small town, and we're gonna deliver a small town plan, something that can be implemented, something that can be delivered. So look forward to working with y'all. But thank y'all very much for volunteering and participating. Aaron will be a great resource. The planning department's a resource available, city secretaries and consultants. So thank you again for serving. Anything we can do to help you achieve your goal of an implementable plan, we're here. All right. So,
I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm Rick Vasquez,
Okay.
Planning Director. I actually have one department. It's divided into 3 areas.
Okay.
I do planning and development, everything related to the new subdivision that you see, economic development, where we're going out and try to bring new businesses here and build your tax base so that the tax burden falls more on the commercial side than on the residential side. That's our other goal. And then code enforcement, so junk vehicles, weeds, I also deal with that.
Okay.
All 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Yes. Okay, good. Well, you guys probably know if you saw the packet, there's a lot of slides in here, but I'm not going to go over every one of them. Like I said, really the value here is to hear from folks. So, but I'm going to jump around here. First, though, I want to talk about the project timeline and the schedule. So we had, and I see a lot of familiar faces, from our first, what we call our stakeholder dialogue, vision and goals. During that, we had I've got some pictures coming up, but we had a lot of different focus groups. We tried to get people out. We were really just here listening at that point, and trying to learn as much as we could about Old Town. And we then produced that document that you guys got to see as part of that, which was a really reflection of a lot of what we heard. And one of the biggest things that came out of that was this vision statement and those goals. The vision and the goals are a really integral part of the plan itself. I would love to hear any of your feedback or response to these. One of the things that we're going to be doing at this next dialogue, which is coming up in October, I think we're still working on getting a firm date for that, but it will be sometime in mid-October. And during that, we're going to be putting these up on the board, on a big board, and we're going to be asking people, like, did we get it right? Like, does this seem like these are the goals that are important? And we'll have stickers, yes, no, and give us some comments or things like that. But this is a really important part of the plan. There's also this vision statement here. So again, take a look at that. One of the reasons that the vision and goals are so important is because it's like you kind of start there with your goals, and then you start to figure out, like, what are the strategies to implement them, all of those things. So that's kind of the big bucket at the top. We start funneling down all the way down to action items. So they are important. If we're missing any big ideas, this would be a good time to get those included at this next workshop that's coming up. The other thing that I printed out there, which was also another kind of big thing that we wanted to achieve out of that first session, was to make sure we understood what the boundaries of this plan should be, of the Old Town should be. One of the things you'll see on that map there is there are a few places that are kind of like crosshatched, and those are areas that we expanded the boundary based on feedback. So there was an existing boundary of Old Town. There's an overlay district for it, and based on feedback during that first kind of session, we did expand the boundary in those 2 areas. None of that is set in stone, but we did get a lot of feedback on that. So that was that first dialogue. We also had a walking tour. We had a lot of different events. It was a 2-day kind of activity there. The next one that's coming up is called Choosing a Preferred Path Forward. I'm going to show you, coming up here, I'm going to show you a couple of different frameworks that we have. What we like to do for this is we like to throw a lot of ideas out there. We have some big ideas, some smaller ideas, some things that people are going to be like, and some things that people are going to be like, yes, that makes sense. And maybe some of the big ideas are things that it's like, oh, I've never thought of that or considered that, and sometimes maybe it takes a while to think it through. So we'll have 2 different overall framework plans, and then we'll also have some specific catalyst sites that could potentially be redeveloped, and we'll show some pictures as to how those could get redeveloped and what that could look like. Doesn't mean that it will, and in those cases, a lot of times that's through either it's fully a private development that comes in and does that, or it's some type of public-private partnerships. And so we'll start to present some ideas or some ways that has happened in other cities, and things that Cibolo could consider in order to make those kinds of sites develop in those ways. And then there'll be a bunch of other projects that we identify. And we're gonna identify a lot of potential projects, and we're gonna ask people to rank them and prioritize them, what they think is most important or not. And what that helps us do is narrow down the list. And then by the last stakeholder dialogue, we'll have a potential, plan. We'll ask people to prioritize again with the list of projects. And we will also be spending most of the time talking about how can they be implemented, how can they be paid for, what are funding sources available now, funding sources that will need to be part of this, and what are the specific actions. We like to, and it sounds like this will work well here as well, is that we don't want to have a plan where we throw a whole bunch of stuff out there, and maybe only a quarter of it ends up being able to actually get done based on resources and time and those sorts of things. They're all great ideas, but only like a quarter of them can actually get done. We would rather, through this process, get it down to the quarter that can actually get done and only put those in the plan. So that's what that third meeting is about. And then after that, we'll go to the city planning commission, city council, and all of that to get adopted. So we are, this second half of this, like those 2 meetings and then the public hearings, they're gonna come fast. So we're hoping to be going to city council in February timeframe, starting to move for public hearings. So that's the kind of overall project. Any questions or thoughts about that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have stakeholder dialogue, like 2 and 3, we're at 1. But we have, so is that just meetings that you guys are talking about? Like, 'cause we have
what
a
are we
lot
gonna?
of meetings scheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have what?
We have October, November, December, January, like we have meetings scheduled a lot.
Okay, so there will be good. There will be advisory committee meetings.
Okay.
You guys right before each of these
Each of
kind
these
of
dialogues.
big
Okay.
public dialogues.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
that puts a dial. And the reason that we do that is because we want to test out the materials on you guys. And
Gotcha.
that's another reason that we like to have a committee, is because we're gonna test this stuff out, and if you guys, it's okay for people to be like, oh, that's kind of a crazy idea, but if you're like, no, then don't, then, and we've already talked about what you call things, like the names of things, and that is really important, It's super important. So we've thrown out some names here of some of our different. We also think it's really important to put a name to things. Like instead of just calling it Alternative 1 or whatever, to go ahead and put a name to it, because it adds a whole lot more. People remember it then and attribute it to things. So naming's important, and that's a reason that we like to. We'll be looking for y'all's feedback on that stuff too.
Is that supposed to be winter 2025 or that's winter 26?
Well, January is 2026, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Solstice is December.
Yes. I did the same thing the first time I looked at the slide. So in terms of a stakeholder approach, we use what's called the IAP2 method. Essentially, people like to know about plans in all different ways. Some people, they just want to see something in the paper, something on the website, and they're like, okay, awesome, city's planning to do some stuff here. That's exciting. Done. Some people, they want to know though. They want to be informed, but they're not actually, maybe don't need to engage. They feel comfortable with how things are going. Some folks want to be consulted with. So they'll want to show up at workshops, They'll maybe take an online survey. Maybe they won't show up in person, but they'll take an online survey. They'll talk to their neighbors and friends in coffee shops, things like that. Some people want to be involved. You all, you're here, you're involved. You're also in the collaborate column. And then the empower column is typically for like your council and planning commission who are going to be adopting it. So what we want to do, and we've already started thinking about how to engage, what are our methods and tools that we're going to use for Old Town to engage people at all of these different places. So in terms of informing, we've been working a lot with Jeanette, the public information officer. She pushes information out, press releases, maybe get some stuff into the newspaper. We've got a really nice website I encourage you to take a look at. So that's on the inform column. In the consult column, we're going to have a survey. We usually like to have a survey with every one of, if you go back and think about those next two big kind of dialogue sessions, we like to have a survey that goes out with that just goes online. We also print the survey for people who show up. They can do it in real life as they walk around the room and look at stuff and engage further. We do like to have an open house type setting. You'll see one of the things that this next, at the next workshop, we'll actually have some activities. So we'll actually have people looking at maps, moving things around, and so getting a lot more, just having a lot more, engagement in the actual plans and maps. And so that's typically consult. In terms of involve, that's you guys. We've got stakeholder meetings, and we've got, in terms of collaborate, one of the things that we want to do, and I think is a really important thing to do towards the end of the plan, is to actually meet with the implementing agencies. So, who is it that's going to actually be building the bike lanes and the sidewalks, and really hear from them. What are the challenges with that? What are the things that you need us to make sure that we get in here so that you have the resources to do that? So that's kind of in that collaborate column. Anything else that you guys can think of as really great tools or opportunities to engage with folks? And you don't have to answer now, but if you've got any ideas. Yeah.
Just when Cibolo have different events that's going on, the fall thing that we have going on out here at the field. Yeah, so having big poster boards and engaging and getting everybody's input on different fall events or any type of event that is going to draw a lot of the local residents around would be great to get their input on things of that nature.
Yes.
On the neighborhood Facebook pages.
Yes, that would be, that's great. We'll talk with Jeanette and figure out how that works from the city's standpoint, but I think those are also great places for you guys to be able to take the city information and push. But yeah, that's great.
Like the Nextdoor app.
The Nextdoor. Mm-hmm.
Also business owners can be involved too. Like for business owners, I'll put a survey in front of a customer all day long. Like I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do you want to see? Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it in. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
that'd be great.
we have so many businesses now. It's kind of like where do you, and we see the public of this town every day.
Mhm.
Every day. So it's kind of like getting the business owners involved and connected of hey, tell me what you think. Let me put your, start chirping in my ear, let me hear what you have to say.
Is there a business organization like in Old Town?
We
business
have one.
owners? Yeah, okay.
We had one.
We
have one.
Okay.
It's still a nonprofit organization, but it got a little bit convoluted.
Yeah.
A little bit convoluted, and so it kind of dissolved a little bit. But it is an option. But sometimes there's a lot.
Sure.
Oh, yes, we did have one where we had multiple members
Yeah.
and it can happen. But again, we're asking business owners in Old Town to
Time and time. And if there's not,
it is the time.
Yeah.
It is the time.
and if there's not a lot coming, not getting a lot from it, then
Yes.
it's
So, and then
could be a
business owners,
challenge.
obviously, we have
Super
our
busy.
own thought process or our own,
totally.
you know what I mean? But if we had someone like you running it.
There you go, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. One of the other things that we'll do, that we can do is we can send you guys like already written emails, or like social media stuff or something like that, and just send it to you, and that way you can copy and paste and send out. That's another really great way, especially when we start getting survey tools and things like that up. So we can give you that, and if there are different formats that you want it in, we can get it to you in whatever format you want, but we'll get you the words at least that helps to push it out. So that's another thing we can do. Any other thoughts on outreach or groups? Any groups that we need to really make sure to hit that we haven't, or maybe that I don't know of or we haven't thought about yet?
When you say groups, like what do you mean by groups?
Like business owners would be a group. Is there a neighborhood? Is there a prominent neighborhood that's maybe not in the boundary or in the boundary or just outside of the boundary that we need to connect with?
So do we ever utilize any of the, Maggie? What was it called? Chambers?
Chamber.
Like maybe chamber,
Oh,
we can get some of the chamber involved in that, so,
Great.
you have Tri-County, you have
Tri-County, yeah.
Tri-County and then
Northeast
the
Foundation.
chamber, and then, so.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. We'll make sure to.
Should be the next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. I know we're still locking down some dates. We had some tentative dates here, and I think for the advisory committee meetings, you think those are probably pretty.
I don't think they're set just
They're
yet.
not set.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna keep working on getting dates set for these as well as for the events coming up. Alright, give me just a little summary. You've got this sheet already. I just printed out and kind of talked through this, and the boundaries. We did, for this one, we did get out to Cibolo Summer Nights, and we put up a little booth out there, which was fun. We had open house, focus groups, and we also did a walking tour during this event. We had a survey poll that went out. We had about 220 respondents, which was really great. Honestly, that's really high for a survey. So the city did a really great job on getting that out. I'll bet the next ones are going to be even more people with you guys helping to push it out too. But these are some of the questions that we asked about. Was what types of businesses are needed. So I won't go through all of these, but highlight their professional services stood out. Ask people about how often they visit. There were a lot of questions in here about parking. So like, how often do you visit? Why are you visiting? And then parking here. So you had some thoughts here, like that maybe these
I
poll
hear it all
results.
the time. There's no parking, there's no parking.
That's what everybody
Like, if
says,
you go
yeah.
to- I mean, yeah, it's just there, you hear it all the time.
You what? You took this one? Oh, good. Yeah.
I know that's what it says, but then people, I don't know.
Yeah. So how much do you think it is that they can't? Because everybody said like, either I easily found one or right. So how much is it because maybe people that are taking the survey are probably residents, right? So they know where
They know where to park.
to park, whereas you have people coming from out of town. So maybe it's like part of the problem is not necessarily how many spaces there are, but it's that you don't know how to find them. Where they are, they're not signed. You don't know if it's public, private, what.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good point. So I'm always told, you need expanded parking, and I'm like, can't.
Yeah.
I don't have any room. There's no room for me. Where do you want me to expand to?
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, you might have to go park in the, there's other parking things.
Yeah.
We'll get to
Yeah, yeah. Parking is always a really big topic of.
Because
Any kind of
business
downtown.
owners, we own parking.
Yes.
It's not city ran. I mean, the one parking lot against the railroad tracks, and yes, the ones that are on the other side of the tracks. But when you come on this side of the tracks, we own them, we maintain them. It's very costly. I mean, it's just, so it is a struggle for, the new businesses coming in, which is, I mean, we're zone commercial residential, so it's kind of new businesses coming in, where do they park?
Yeah.
Because on this side of the tracks, we don't have them.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And accessibility is a big piece, you know?
That's it.
Like, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it's not that far of a walk, but it is when you have to walk across the railroad tracks. It just
And
feels
then
different.
girls
Yeah.
want to wear their heels and go out and they're like, I
Don't want to get stuck on
Uh-huh. Yeah, you get stuck, your heel gets stuck on the track.
Yeah.
Just lost a shoe.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you come on this side of the track, there's plenty of parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think so. We did have a parking consultant. We have a parking consultant that's part of this. They went around and did, and they do this in lots of different cities. There are metrics that they look at that are based on like how vacancy rates at certain times, and when you start hitting like these metrics or these triggers, that's when you start thinking about paying for parking is first step. So like the first step is paid parking. Then the next step is like parking garage, because parking garage is super expensive. And people don't necessarily like to go into a parking garage if they could already find a space on the street for free. They would rather
I think
park
there's a parking garage for Old
So-
Town, and it would diminish our charm.
Yes. And then there's that.
Just go put it out there like that.
It doesn't match.
It doesn't match us.
Doesn't match. Yep. So, we had this council member for a day. I thought this was interesting. There was like some clear. So this is where we were trying to, understand a little bit more about goals. What are the things that are on people's tops of mind? Pedestrian, streetscape, and enhancements that you guys are talking about. I sort of saw those top three kind of stood apart above the rest. Open space and stuff to do, entertainment options. That was also that I will say we had this out at Cibolo Nights too, and we did have a lot of kids coming up to the booth. they might have put a lot into the entertainment options for kids. So, okay, you saw a lot of this in our existing conditions report. One thing I'm just going to hit on some highlights or some takeaways from these that we've been thinking about, which is that Cibolo is growing really fast. It's growing, faster than Guadalupe County as a whole, but Old Town is not, and this area of Cibolo is not quite seeing the growth yet, as compared to other areas of Cibolo. But it likely will, right? Like it's continuing to move this way, the growth is, and so thinking about and planning for that in the future is going to be important. The other thing is that we'll see, I think we did a kind of study in there that looked at all the growth and change that is happening all around the Old Town. There's a lot of new subdivisions that are coming in and building out. There's new roads. So all of it is starting to happen around Old Town. And it's a little bit difficult to, they're not necessarily connected very well to Old Town. That was something that we really recognized being here. It's like the roads aren't connected very well to Old Town from all of these different subdivisions that are happening, and there's not really pedestrian and access connections. So those are all things that we started thinking about when looking at the growth that's happening around. Building age, About 21% of the buildings were before 1950, which is kind of that's the trigger for when you start to say it's historic, is about 50 years old. No, I guess the trigger's a lot sooner now, but 1950, and then you had most buildings, are smaller in scale, single family. Lots of businesses are going into, remodeled single family, older buildings, and that's really where you get all the charm for the community in Old Town. Streets. This was something we had some really good conversations, I think, during the visioning session earlier, and some of the big things that stand out about the streets in Old Town is that Main Street itself is pretty small. One thing that I'll say, I work in a lot of, narrow, and one thing that I say I work in a lot of whenever we do downtown plans in a lot of communities, the Main Street is a TxDOT road. And I'll say that is honestly a tougher challenge to deal with than when your Main Street is already kind of a nice, quaint street, and when it's in the control of the city as opposed to in the control of TxDOT. So I really think that's a benefit for you guys. It is, while there are opportunities for improvements in terms of pedestrians and things like that, it is nice that it is a locally owned street. And the other big thing about TxDOT roads is that TxDOT's purpose is to move people through as fast as possible. But that is antithetical to what you want in a downtown. You want people slowing down, looking at the businesses, not just flying through. That's not helpful. Then the other thing, when we think about the other streets, they're very small, right? And again, I thought it was really interesting. We had a lot of conversations during the first session about that was part of the charm of Old Town as well. Are these kind of smaller streets, and if you went in and fixed those up to make them look like new streets and new subdivisions, that you start to kind of lose the charm of what makes Old Town Old Town. So we've been thinking a lot about that. We've been thinking about it in conjunction with drainage as well, and we've been working with Doucette, who's our sub-consultant that's working on the engineering and drainage side. And so some things we've been thinking about, start to see these next ideas that will come out, is how, are there opportunities to pick a couple of streets that work well from an economic development standpoint, and also from a drainage standpoint, to try to, get those ones into a place where they can move water and still be nice and create a nice environment and community for more commercial development along them. We talked about hydrology and drainage. Parks and open space, there are not a lot of gathering places for people to hang out within Old Town. That's something that's missing. That was something that was really called out in the last plan for Old Town, and we definitely noticed that this time. Hydrology and drainage. I will just go ahead. Hey, how are you doing, sir? I will go ahead and say, what? Oh, anywhere. Yeah. Excuse me. Oh, 7:30 is the end time. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, about 15 minutes. Oh gosh, I'm gonna go quick. I'm just gonna go ahead and caveat on hydrology and drainage. It is not in the scope of this project to come up with these solutions for the drainage. And I just want to, we will come up with ideas of what are good approaches to trying to solve it, but it will take a full engineered plan to actually solve the drainage problems. So what we want to come up with, though, are some guidance of how can you solve the drainage problems and potentially, help economic development, walkability, or some of our other goals. So where are those opportunities? But I do want to caveat, it's not in the scope to do a full drainage plan and study as part of this. Okay, because we don't have a whole lot of time, I'm gonna skip forward to these two different kind of ideas that we had. One idea there is called the gathering grounds. So again, these are the names, the words that you guys can say that makes sense or doesn't. But what we thought of when we heard this during the first stakeholder meeting is that the school district owns that whole site there that we've got identified in that first plan. And as Cibolo continues to grow, and as Old Town continues to grow, that maybe the school district ends up moving out. And what ends up happening with that space? It's a pretty big amount of land area that's right smack in the middle of Old Town. One of the other things that we noticed is that it provides some opportunities to create some connections, some alternative connections over to, for example, 1103, that you can start to bring, spread the accessibility to Old Town out. So you'll see, I'll show some. We started with some images. We'll have some better diagrams of this at the open house coming up of what it could be. And then we've also got a second Catalyst site, which is right over there, where the annex is. And that was in the original plan, and we'll talk about two different approaches to that. So the first one, the gathering grounds. What that's about, it's really bringing everybody to that one spot, saying, if there's going to be a lot of development or more development in Old Town, here's a good spot that new stuff could go. And we can kind of keep the charm and the rest of it here. That's one idea. The other idea we've called the Heart and Hub. And in this one, it's really just about going all in on Main Street and really trying to improve that. Help businesses on either side, fill in some gaps along the way potentially, and again, focus a little bit more on that Catalyst site, and maybe invest a little bit more there to make it more of a placemaking opportunity. So some of the things that you'll see here, we tried to really anchor the place with a formal plaza. You might, like I said, if there is some newer, higher, bigger buildings, that could be an outlet for them or a place for them to go. In that first alternative, the gathering grounds, this is kind of how we thought about the square there. So one of the ways that the city can finance a project to do stuff is by potentially selling off some pieces of it. And so that can start to help generate some money. So that's one idea. You can see different types of development. And then this is that one, the gathering grounds. What we did there is we connected the site over to 1103. We've got a hotel there. That was something that I know was brought up a lot, is the idea of having a place to stay, that there's really no hotel in Cibolo at all. And wouldn't it be nice if it was in Old Town, a more boutique-y type hotel. Got lots of space for more commercial development, and a little bit of residential as well. Things like maybe some townhouses, maybe some courtyard type product. So again, keeping all the scale small, all the commercial there is probably 1 story. You may get a little bit of height out of your hotel. And you've also got some room back behind those buildings for some more surface parking and things like that to add parking. And one of the nice things to do, you want to add parking, but you don't want to put parking as the first thing people see, right? You don't want parking on your main street. You want that to be buildings, places, and then you show people where to go. In terms of the Heart and Hub, we thought about this one. Again, in this one, we go a little bit more all in on the sort of gathering place, some type of a pavilion. We've also got room for more commercial development around it, so you create some type of little courtyard there. Continue to park out in Field Road. So those are some of the ideas. We'll have those fleshed out a little bit more, and put them into, you know, more of a 3D type of things, people can see it and imagine it, have them a little more labeled, that sort of stuff. Any, immediate thoughts?
And the alternative too is the school district site used.
It would just stay as the school district site. So in that one, the school district just stays there.
20 acres, yeah. You can do the campus and the ag farm, if you're pushing 20 acres.
What?
If you're include the campus site and the ag farm, you're pushing 20 acres.
Yeah, it's a pretty big site. And one of the things you can do through a plan or a project like this, by having some community input and some thought in it now, like one thing that I've seen happen a lot, and especially with school districts, is they move out of a place, and sometimes they're really nice prime locations in really great areas, and the way school districts work is you just sell the highest bidder, and there's no zoning on the property typically, a lot of times. It's just zoned public, you know? And so then you sell it to highest bidder, they don't know what they can do with it, but they paid they paid this amount thinking they could do this, they don't know that they can, you come in for zoning, it just kind of becomes unfortunate, like, it doesn't work out really well. If you can go in as a community and start to think about, well, okay, we would be okay with seeing a little bit more development on this if it's done in these ways and we get these public benefits out of it, these road connections, these whatever, you know, then you start to, you put that in first before somebody puts all their dollars down and buys it thinking they can do one thing without any certainty that they can. So, yeah.
The boundary includes a lot of floodplain area.
It does, yeah.
Assuming it's just unusable land at the moment.
Yeah,
Is there-
everything over there is floodplain, yeah. You can see it on the map there.
Right, so is it included in this map just because that's a district boundary? Or is there a thought to actually redevelop that land and make it usable at some point?
Yeah, that's a really
Drainage
good question. It is included in the map because it was the district boundary. That's why it's there. Yeah, I don't think that there's any plan to develop that. Yeah. There would be a trail, potentially maybe a road connection.
Yeah. It'll be a part of the city's what they're calling the Town Creek Regional Trail. So that trail will go all the way from Schlather Park all the way down to I believe it's the YMCA. So that's the overall envision on where that potential area will be, which is in the floodplain right now. Yeah.
And with that trail, is there some way or how that we are looking in the future towards being connected with the Great Springs project?
I think, yeah, Abby Anderson actually referenced that in their existing conditions report. Yes.
Yep.
And the other one is not in the flood zone, the first one, the gathering
Sorry.
place? The gathering place is not in the flood zone?
No, the gathering, nope. Neither one is showing any development in the flood.
You just said it was in the flood zone.
Sorry.
Oh, the boundary.
The bound, yes, he has a boundary goes out into there. He was just commenting about that.
But the other one would be a little bit safer for them, because it's farther into.
Yes, it is also actually in an area that, I'll pull up the drainage plans again, and we have been kind of going back and forth. I don't want to play engineer at all, but there's two different watersheds here, and there is a plan. I don't know if you can't kind of see it on this one, it's a little hard to see, you can see it in the book. But there are some, open drainage channels. The water is it's super flat, which is a real challenge to moving water out of Old Town. But that would be the direction you want to move the water over there. So by redeveloping that site, it could help because you would put some good drainage infrastructure in. It could help to bring drainage out.
So with the steering committee, are we going to focus on, because that's a pretty large parcel that is in the Old Town overlay? Is that something that we should be discussing in our meetings? Or is this something that's already being discussed by the city that's being taken care
No, we should definitely be discussing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that what we are sort of throwing these things out there, and we are looking for feedback. And obviously, the school district is a big source of feedback, and we have not talked to them. When I talked about, if this is something that the committee would be interested in, we don't get a bunch of like, wah, when we get to the first stakeholder meeting, then I think that would be a time that the city starts reaching out and having some meetings with the school district. When I talked about having, towards the end of the process, that we have some pointed meetings with implementers, like that would be the type of meeting that we would have at that
From
time.
a career standpoint, looking at green space, walking ability, and yours as well, that's a big area. Big area to encompass, so.
If it happens, what's the proper use?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it commercial, residential, is it, athletic, a big athletic facility? What's the proper use if all this ever did come to fruition?
These frameworks talk about a new road. Is that in the works?
Yes, this one out here, is that the one you're referring to? That's on the city's thoroughfare plan. It's called the North-South Connector, and so it is sort of on there. I think it's not in the works, but it is one of those plans that's like, or one of those roads that's for the future. But there's no money set aside or anything like
Not
that
at this time, not at this time, but we are starting to have conversations with some of our regional partners, like the Alamo Area Metropolitan Organization, to help with funding, as well as some other grant funding opportunities for that.
My first thought was, we have a lot of traffic going through Main Street now. What's this gonna do? And then the more I read, then I said, oh, there's a possibility of a new road, and so I didn't know if that's gonna be feasible or.
Yes, and the other thing, I know that, the other thing that you'll see in both of these frameworks is this idea of connecting over to 1103. You can see it up there, with those roads. And so you've kind of got some industrial stuff happening over there, some undeveloped properties. When those develop, if you had in plans that they needed to, start trying to make some of these connections, and you thought about where will it connect in Old Town, then you start to again develop another access point. But more access points, like there's like two ways to improve traffic. One is by providing people other routes, and the other is to make the road bigger and bigger, right? And so doing both, maybe you have to do both, but providing other routes is a really great tool to solving some traffic problems.
Because it would be hard to widen North Main.
Exactly,
South Main.
yes, yeah. And maybe you don't want to, again, from a character perspective, right? You don't want that to be a thoroughfare that people are just going through as fast as they can.
Is public transportation a possibility?
That is typically something that you address on more of a city scale. Now, I will say, you might see in plans like a Old Town plan, maybe there's a bike share program or something like that, like some type of transportation or better ability for people to get around in different ways in Old Town. The other thing that I see downtown plans looking at from that perspective is do you need rideshare drop-off places? Those sorts of things. We also definitely talk a lot about the delivery trucks. How do they access? So there are a lot of mobility issues for sure that come in Old Town. Typically, not necessarily transit at this scale. Yeah.
What is the plan or idea so far as getting walking, biking trail across FM 78?
Yeah. Yes. What we have looked at as an option, it's hard to see it on these, but what we thought about is trying to get over to, remind me of the name of the park that's Slaughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Slaughter.
What?
The one on the other side of 78.
Yes.
Slaughter's on, across 1103.
As long as
and then
it
you get
across
under the
1103.
track.
No, Nimitz, thank you, that was it.
There you go.
Yes, so Nimitz on the other side of FM 78 as what's the opportunity to try to get a trail that goes over to the regional trail system that connect from the regional trail system that Aaron was talking about through Old Town and down through.
Not only that, now they've annexed a little square piece right there at the very end. That's over 78. So now they're in Old Town. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna encompass all of Old Town, like, we gotta make that little part of it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring folks over.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding some trail connectivity.
Some of my wild thoughts, there will always be a Nimitz Park. Doesn't have to be that dirt. It didn't work out in this last plan, but it doesn't have to be exactly there for Nimitz Park. I think the Nimitz family has contributed to Cibolo for generations. So there will always be a Nimitz Park. Just kind of start getting out of here and think, well, is that the best place for a park, or is there a good use for that piece of dirt? And we'll take the Nimitz family name and dedicate it
Probably
a
somewhere.
different area. Yeah, something like that. So, same kind of facilities, you want to be able to offer the same kind of facilities that Nimitz Park does, but where's the best place to serve now? I know why Nimitz Park is where it was, because that's where the land was available when Cibolo had 1,800 people.
I think we're at
Seven,
time.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, and I think we got through most of it.
Nice.
What?
I love the
sit here for
You
two-day
do
program.
great. Okay, good, yeah.
So
The gathering
It was
grounds
like,
and the heart and soul, yeah. So yeah. We will build these up, go ahead.
So as far as discussion on future date and times, I'm sure Becky's gonna probably send out some emails. I believe that kind of.
Second Wednesdays or something like that.
It conflicts with the meet the candidate night, so I believe we're gonna probably have to reschedule that, but Peggy will reach out to everyone and solidify the next date. Okay. And the meeting should be at 6:30.
6:30.
It was a hiccup. Paperwork.
So it will be 6:30.
It should be at 6:30 moving forward.
Okay, cool.
Is there a day of the week where you have to target for you?
Well, she won't be at every meeting, right? You're not coming to every meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, are you? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just coming to like 3 meetings.
But if there's like on Thursdays, you have to go to like soccer practice or something. Thursdays are not good, like I don't know.
Well, Aaron will work with Peggy to make sure that
I'll
they're
record
everyone's
it,
on
okay.
the same page.
Yes.
So the next meeting then is.
The next meeting is going to be a big workshop with the community. And so the next time you'll be hearing from Aaron and our staff is we'll be putting together like information to push out to the community about the next big event. And so your job from here is to help push that information out and help get as many people to that next event. Please come to the next event. What?
When is the event?
That's what we're still working on,
Okay,
on the
I was
date.
like,
Yes. I think,
wow.
yes.
I don't think any dates have been solidified, so
Yeah,
it's nice.
Alright.
They'll between them and Peggy and Aaron, everybody, they'll get it worked out. and push it out to you.
That is the October meeting.
Yes, it's gonna be sometime in the middle of October. Next couple weeks.
Can I get someone to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third. I'm gonna give Mr. Dave the motion. Alright guys, thank you.
Okay. Abby. Yeah, okay, fine, alright, we're ready.
Sir, what's your last name?
I'd like to ask that.
I suck at names, I really need name tags. You know, I can only read half of them, so.